welcome to the Three Chords and Some Lies podcast from me, Andy.
And me, Jim. How you doing?
I'm very well. How are you doing?
Very well indeed, very well. So we're doing something a bit different today. What we're going to do is Andy and I have got similar but differing tastes in music, and we're going to talk about our top 5 favourite intros to songs of all time. So honestly, it's going to be as simple as that. So
it is as simple as that. It's
we're
nice and easy.
So Andy, you're going first. What is your first intro?
I am, yeah. So I know what I hate to do it. It's intros that also not only are just favourites and are good ones that I listen to over and over again. They're also intros that I think just worked so well because of where they were and the time they were in, and also there's a little bit of that going on as well.
Exactly, there's got to be context.
And obviously we with these tunes, it's massively subjective. If anyone viewing, like us, subscribe to us, but if you don't agree, message us in the thing. We'll have our lists and all YouTube links to the tunes, and if you buy into them, obviously go to iTunes and Spotify and do all the usual stuff. But tell us what your top 5 are, and we want to hear from you.
Absolutely.
So so we've got all sorts of stuff. So my first one is an Iron Maiden tune.
Yep.
And it is off. Now, this is my own humble opinion, but I think one of the greatest metal album ever made was the Seventh Son of a Seventh Son album.
Okay.
Absolutely awesome. And the first track off it was called Moonchild.
Okay.
So bung that in. Now, obviously, for everyone watching, YouTube completely loses its mind if you put anything of copyrightable stuff on, and we don't want Iron Maiden coming along and spearing our bodies with tridents and swords because we've used things. So obviously we don't want that. We need you to go and have to listen to these songs on your own.
Yeah.
So we're not going to have them as part of the podcast to listen to, but we are going to react to them privately. Just full disclosure, that's what we're going to do. So, if you've got it ready to go, you can listen to the first little bit, Joe, and see what you think.
I will do that. It's hitting me with an advert to start off with, so give me a second.
Yeah, doesn't it always? YouTube is full of adverts,
yeah,
which will hopefully give us a revenue one day. So with that one, they got quite a lot of stick because they had synth in.
Yeah.
And Bruce Dickinson stood up on stage. We've had a lot of criticism for this, but we're Iron Maiden, so off. Yeah. As Bruce Dickinson can do. He just told the audience to knob off, or worse to that effect.
Yeah.
That was the end of that, because you don't argue with Bruce Dickinson, because that guy's a legend. But it's got such a massive build-up. And actually live in their 666 tour, Adrian Smith played it. He actually played that as a delayed part here.
Okay.
And he plays it in the right key, but with a delayed... I think he was playing it on a White Jackson sort of metal guitar thing. And it does that, but with the delay and the distortion and the guitar. I actually played that part looped and then play the other part stuff, and I'd actually managed to make it on you can make it on your own. It's awesome, love it. It's just such a big kick in the face of an album starter, and that's why I liked it.
Absolutely makes perfect sense. Well, when my first one. You probably don't even need to listen to, because it's that ingrained in people's heads that it probably doesn't even need to have anything on there. But for me, intro wise, it sort of really kick-started everything about me starting to become a human being and an adult rather than a kid.
Oh, cool! This sounds big.
No, it's not a band you like. It is the legendary intro riff to "Sweet Child of Mine" by Guns N' Roses.
Okay, yeah. Now, it's a great riff.
It is a great riff, and the whole thing with this riff is I think that it launched a billion guitar players of my age.
Yes,
thoughts towards creating starting to play the guitar. It's just like, how on earth can you make that sound like that? There was obviously there was a song at the same time by Alice Cooper called Poison, which had a very similar kind of starting riff, which is basically with the Guns N' Roses one. It's just, I think it's a tiny bit of delay straight through his Les Paul, which isn't actually a Gibson, it's a replica. straight into a JCM 800 with a tiny bit of delay and a tiny bit of wah-wah, and that's all it is. And that sound,
Not know that.
I think, really carried, bit of a cough today, I think for me really sort of kick-started that whole, wow, that's an intro, because you go from the legendary guitar bit into the bass bit, and then you get the acoustic guitar or the rhythm guitar comes in, which is great. Izzy Stradlin, who I think actually wrote the song. I think that I may be wrong.
Okay, we can check that.
Izzy Stradlin was the main. I know he's the main songwriter. I think they all work very much together. But for me, that's the first one of my list. And I said we don't need to listen to it because everybody knows it.
Literally, there are unborn children who know that tune, so it's fine.
It's so well known. But
I will, and to that I said, yes, I hate Guns N' Roses with a passion. But I hate them. I hate them. I've been to see them live, and I hated them even more after it. Which I'm going to get lots of criticism for because they're Guns N' Roses.
Everybody can think what they like, exactly.
But although I don't particularly like the song, I have to look at the fact that it is an awesome riff, and it was just a practice thing from Slash, wasn't it? He was just cocking about with something.
It was a workout. It was a
little exercise, another warm up, but a hell of a warm up.
Absolutely,
and it's an absolute classic. And because I totally agree, it should be in the list somewhere because it launched
it's 1,000
guitar players.
It's iconic. It's one of those ones. If you like Guns N' Roses, it is an iconic intro.
Yeah. And it's what was the other one? Was it Paradise City?
Paradise City also. I mean,
there was another. Was that the one with the delay at the start?
Yeah.
Yeah, that one. That's a good one. I like that one.
It could have been either, but because Paradise City was the first Guns N' Roses song that I heard.
Okay.
A Sweet Child of Mine reminded me of roller skating as a small child, and it's what really.
Yeah.
It was that era of Guns N' Roses for me was just pre-nibble. It was everything. It was what launched me into rock and roll, I think.
Absolutely. And I think you and, like you said, at least a billion other people exactly the same.
Exactly.
So I agree. I think that's a top one.
No, well, that's all good. And I thought yours was also great.
Yeah.
What's the next one? Go on then.
Well, we're keeping on the same lines of top here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Top Gun.
Oh, right, okay.
Kenny Loggins, Danger Zone.
Right, okay, interesting.
Right? Because I'm massively into jets and stuff, as you know, military jets, and I love Top Gun. Because we're children of the 80s, which is, as you can tell by our appearance and grey hair, that we're children of the 80s. Great, just the best decade ever. But I never get tired of listening to it. And I think if you've got an intro where and when you put it with the film, with the afterburners lighting up on the 14 on the Tomcats, and you get this, and it's just absolutely flaming wonderful stuff.
It is more 80s than the 80s.
It couldn't be more 80s if it tried. And when you sit there watching it, if you've got a jacket on, your sleeves roll up all on their own.
Yeah, exactly.
So there, you don't even have to do that; they just do it on their own.
That whole film was 84 was Top Gun, wasn't it? I might be wrong.
It
was certainly.
It was around 4 or 5. Yeah, something. We'll check, but we know it was smack bang in the middle of the 80s, basically, and it was huge. But it was such a great tune, and they played it in Top Gun Maverick at the beginning, and I think there would have been riots.
Which was also excellent.
Which was excellent. Yeah,
I mean, Top Gun obviously has got a lot of comedy in it as well, but I think Top Gun was. I think I really enjoyed Top Gun Maverick. I didn't know whether I was going to, and I thought, you know what?
I was hoping.
It was great.
It was great. It was absolutely great. I mean, because I'm a flight simmer and I'm a complete nerd when it comes to these things, as well as guitars, there were lots of errors in it, which I was going, oh.
Of course, yes. Yeah.
But it isn't a documentary. It is a film, and it's just and they got a lot more right in it than they did in the original. And it was flaming. It was a great. In fact, I was watching it this morning. It's so good. It just worked so damn well with the film and the intro of both films. And you had with the Hornets taking off, the Tomcats taking off, and it just works.
Do you know what? Even as well as Danger Zone, there's also the legendary riff from. Is it Jan Hammer who does the down?
That was Stevie Stevens.
Right. Okay. Well, Yeah, you see, even that is yeah, couldn't be more 80s if it tried. So a good
Yeah, it was a great anthem, that one. But I mean, it was a very iconic sound. But I love, as intros go, it just starts, and it's like it starts like a racing car. And it's so simple.
yeah,
Played it on an E flat tune guitar, absolutely wonderful. Loved it.
absolutely. Well,
So there we go. We don't need to put music. Everyone knows that tune, and
yeah,
if you
exactly.
don't know that tune, you've literally been hiding under a rock.
I'm now going something completely different. So I am obsessed with punk rock and always have been.
Fair enough.
And for different intros for different reasons. And for me, what I was going to do, in the same way as I would if I was sitting in a restaurant holding a menu in front of me and was unable to choose, I was going to put myself under pressure to choose an intro for this. So what I'm going to choose is I'm "I'm So Bored of the USA" by The Clash. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Because it was that particular time when basically America was everywhere. Literally everyone was America this, America that. And the Clash's first album for me was my favourite sort of punk rock album. You know, I loved Nevermind the Bollocks.
Yeah.
No doubt that I loved Nevermind the Bollocks. It was
a classic album.
A classic album. It was almost a rock and roll album more than the punk album, but an absolute work of art. The Clash's first album, however, that song "I'm So Bored of the USA," which is almost exactly the same riff as "Pretty Vacant," it is, when it comes in, it's basically, I don't know, it summarises how British people at that time were sick of Americans, and it was
right.
And I'm not anti-America in any.
No, not at all. No, we're not anti-American on the Three Chords podcast.
No,
we hasten to add.
I do find them amusing, but that's entirely up to them. But I think that song just, it wasn't, because it started off, it was a song that Mick Jones had written about his girlfriend called "I'm So Bored of You," and Mick and on their first rehearsal with Joe Strummer, he walked into the rehearsal room and went, "No," and it went, "I'm so bored of you," and he went, "No, I'm so bored of the USA, and let's write it, let's do it now," and that's how it all came out. So
right, cool.
That is my second choice of intros. Not the one that I was going for to start with, but
well, you can change your mind. That's what we can do. That's very good. Yeah,
So what's your next one, mate?
Well, I've got a very brief punk story which I should relating to that, because I had one of my students come in once, and he said, I said, "Oh, so what are you into?" So he said, "Oh, I'm into punk." I went, "Oh, really?"
Yeah.
And I said, "Oh, who do you listen to?" Like, the Clash, Pistols, and he was like, "Oh, Green Day." And I was like, "Oh."
Well, you see, that's us.
I was like, "That's not punk, mate." And so I played him the Sex Pistols, and he was just like,
well.
And I thought, well, I might have broken him. Okay, we'll go and do some Green Day. It's fine.
It's one of those. I mean, the punk pop thing, we could do a whole thing on that one, because if you are 5 years young, maybe not even that much younger than me, 3 or 4 years younger than me, to you, Green Day is what it is. For me, it was Guns N' Roses, even though they weren't really punk, but they had that attitude. And for you, it would have been whoever was 2 years before Guns N' Roses. So it would have been the Iron Maiden 7.
No, but to me, it was the Pistols, because I mean, weirdly, I grew up, even though they were sort of 10 years before I was around, when I was little,
which is terrifying.
Yeah, it is. It is. But I mean, I think I was probably 10, 11, 12, and a friend of mine was a young Dutch friend of mine, and he just, "Oh, you've heard the Pistols," and we kind of liked it because it was rude and all the rest of it. But actually, never mind the old thing, is a great album. It's a classic.
Do you know what's a really scary thing? This is the last thing I'm going to say on this album. This is always a worry, yeah?
Yeah.
We are now further away from Nevermind the Bollocks.
Yeah.
Nevermind the Bollocks was from the Battle of Britain.
Shut up, Jim.
Yeah.
That's just depressing.
Yeah, absolutely terrible. Anyway, by the way, on to your next one, mate.
No, it's not depressing. That's good. That's useful information that people need to know.
We're also further away from Duran Duran's Rio than Duran Duran's Rio was from the Battle of Stalingrad.
Oh my God. You are a barrel of information today.
Anyway.
Jim's on fire this morning, right?
To know how old you are, there's your answer.
So my next one, we are so somewhere else now with this one.
Yeah.
this this might come as a surprise to you, and I'm sure you probably won't know it. So if you want to listen to it, do.
Yeah, well, I'll nip back.
And you can put it on. We will edit this out. We're not going to let the viewing several sit there for a minute while Jim listens to the tune.
No,
we'll edit it out, and then we'll get his reaction afterwards. So
no, but what's the tune and who's it by?
It's Tears for Fears.
Yeah,
and it is called Elemental.
Fears, Elemental. You know, Elemental. I had tickets to go and see them around the corner from my house a few weeks ago, but they
what?
Elemental. There it is. Okay, cool.
Yeah. So Rick Beato, did this a few weeks ago on his video on his YouTube.
Yeah, that's not what I was expecting at all. Now I do like Tears for Fears. I don't know a lot about them.
No, I didn't think you would. I love them.
Yeah.
And I think me and my friend Chris were about the only people who do listen to them that I know. But that tune, so basically they were famous obviously together with Kurt Smith.
Yeah.
Then they parted ways for reasons we won't go into, because I don't really know what they are. But I don't know, they fell out or something and didn't work. They're back together again now. Mm-hmm. And Roland went off on his own and did some of the best solo albums, in my opinion, ever written. So, right. And the title, the first one I think he did was called Elemental.
Right.
And it's just absolutely, it's musical genius. And if you want to deep dive into it, feel free, people, go and look at Rick Beato. He dives right into it and it's unbelievable. The wad part, I mean, the percussion in it, I mean, all of it is just, and his voice, there's two singers I really like. There's Bono, and underneath him is Roland Orthobal.
Yeah.
Because the power of that guy's voice is unbelievable. And Elemental, there's actually live versions of them doing it sounding pretty similar, and it's like, how the hell are you pulling this off live? Very impressive.
Sounds to me, as someone who'd never heard it before, like it could really go well in an 80s film. There's got a real bit of power to it. It's 1993 as well, so it's slightly later than. But I mean, they're still going. They're still releasing new music now. As I say, they played at Prism around the corner from my house a couple of weeks. Well, they were supposed to play a couple of weeks ago. I had tickets that they cancelled, so I would have seen them. But so no, I liked it. It's definitely something I need to listen to again.
You have to. It's one of those things you've got to listen to over and over again. Because you hear more and more. It is a grow, and it goes forward. And a lot of the albums, the solo albums he did, were, if you haven't listened to them, they are musical genius. They're mind-blowing stuff.
I will do that. I'll shove a couple of songs onto a playlist, and I'll have a listen to one next time I go for a run, which is once I've shifted this cough. But all good.
Yeah, that sounds like a plan. So that's mine. It's Tears for Fears, Elemental. Just listen to it. It's awesome.
I'm going to have to refer to my notes because I can't remember what my last.
We are allowed to refer to notes.
That's what it was. Let's have a look. See, it was the notes open. So this one was, again, Andy. You may or may not know this one, so we feel free to pause it if we need to. Do you know "Gone Shooting" by AC/DC?
I don't.
Right. Okay. Well,
I'll
you
listen
and I
to it.
keep talking, but if we can we can let the general public be away from this, and then you can have your listen, and then we can just
we'll just fine. We'll edit it out. It's all good.
If you listen to it up to the second vocal line,
will do,
and then I'll explain to you my thoughts and reasons.
I will do indeed. Listening to it now.
Cool. So, what were your thoughts?
Great. I mean, it's amazing. Just classic rock stuff. That's not the one I thought you were going to go for. I thought you were going to go for the Back in Black or something like really well known, and I've never heard that before. It's very good.
Yeah.
Why did you choose that?
Let me tell you. So basically, in 1976, when the world was obsessed with punk rock, or starting to become obsessed with punk rock, AC/DC released in what, in my mind, is their greatest album, which is an album called Power Rage. What that was at the exact point when they were just about to break out of Australia into the UK. They were playing in small venues in Croydon, and they were small. They They were looking nervous. I mean, there was a great video of Bon Scott just talking at the airport, going, "I don't know if the Poms are going to get it, mate." And then 2 weeks later, there's a picture of him walking down Carnaby Street in a pair of hot pants with a banana in each pocket, saying, "The Poms got it." It was just. But that particular moment, you've got the build-up, and AC/DC are great. The build-up, the AC/DC build-up is something which is, I mean, listen to Hell's Bells. The build-up, AC/DC, they can start from that, but this, in my opinion, was their first great build-up.
Okay.
So the first riff, the down, 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 and then you've got Malcolm comes in with his jootin' jootin' riff, and then you've got Cliff that comes in with a bass, and then the drums come in, but then comes Bon's voice.
Yeah.
Bon's voice, in my opinion, is the greatest rock and roll voice ever. Nobody will beat Bon Scott. Bon Scott's dead. No one can. But Bon Scott, for me, there is nothing like that voice. That voice that can just, it transcends brilliance. But it's for me, it's the intro. Now, it was the first time I heard it was in the cinematic classic Beavis and Butthead Do America. Okay, but that particular down, 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 I love it. I absolutely love it. It's so simple. It's just a riff in G, and most of AC/DC is.
Yeah.
Great.
I mean, they're you can't. I mean, I don't listen to them, but I've taught them many a time, and you have to respect them because they're one of the greatest rock bands who've ever lived, with endless rock classics to their name.
My favourite quote of Angus Young's was when NME asked him in I think it was when they released I think Rock or Bust, 2009 or something. So you've released the same album 12 times. That's a filthy lie. I've released the same album 14 times. And the end of the article was when it may be true that AC/DC have only got one song, but it's a very, very good song.
So I think it's harsh, but yeah.
For me, I'd Gone Shooting by AC/DC, absolutely intro, wonderful intro. So
yeah. See, at the end of this, we might have to put in some honourable mentions as well, because with our top five, I mean, there's probably a top 20 or 30.
Exactly. This is our top five today. Who knows?
Our top five today. We might do another one and completely change. But I mean, there's probably Caroline by Quo or Down. I absolutely love that tune.
Well, this is what I mean.
Such a great thing, whatever you want. I mean, like, you could put all sorts of things in, and there'll be people screaming at their TVs and chucking stuff in it, going, "You missed this and you missed that." Yeah, that's the way it is with these things. They're completely subjective. Like, who's the best guitar player? There isn't one. Shut up. It's whoever you like. Yeah, and that's the end.
Except that it's definitely Jimi Hendrix, but that's one for another time. So after you go next.
I'm hiring a hitman very soon. Right. So my next one, it's going to be predictable. It's Money for Nothing.
Yeah. Well, obviously.
Now I had a small thermonuclear war with myself this week when I was trying to work out my top two, because I've got two. That thing. Now, the reason why it's number two is, as much as, I mean, it started me playing the guitar, like it started lots of, like you said the other day, that it started you wanting to learn the guitar, and probably again a billion people wanted to learn the guitar when they heard Money for Nothing. Like a billion people wanted to be fighter pilots when they had Danger Zone. And watched Top Gun, including me. But after that initial riff, it's quite samey.
Yeah,
the song. It's a great song, and it was written from the point of view of him, listening to two bozos humping, shopping, in a hardware shop, or store or whatever it is, which are in New York. And they would, he was literally just writing down the things they said. So, but it was, it's very good and observational, and it's an absolutely killer riff, and it's pretty unbeatable.
But it's the whole intro.
It's the whole build up and the build up of it, of the things of the drums, and Teddy Williams, lovely on the drums, just absolutely. I mean, and then it just all stops, and he kicks in with his Les Paul. I mean, like, Christ on a bike, man. I mean.
It's amazing. If I didn't know you were going to pick it, I would probably have picked it myself. There's For me, if I was to put the two next to it, if I was to put Sweet Child of Mine and Money for Nothing, the riff, the two intros next, I would say those are the two most influential riffs on me saying, got to play the guitar.
I totally agree, and again, we will tell everybody at home, we did not know these lists of
We
each
didn't know
other's
which each other was going to pick.
at all. We absolutely didn't. All it's obvious that the Money for Nothing's going to be in there,
Yeah,
so
it is, yeah.
it's just going to be in there for a lot of people. But we didn't know what each other's choices were, so we wanted to get a proper, genuine reaction to them all. So yeah, for me, number two, I went with number two. It was Money for Nothing. Awesome.
That makes perfect sense. I'm gonna have to refer to my notes again to remember what I chose.
You can refer to your notes and do that funky thing.
Right. Okay. Let me just find that. So the next one is an interesting one.
Okay.
I don't know if it's going to be one that you've heard. Because I know that there's certain, and it's a really long intro, so I'm not going to make you listen to the whole thing. If you just, if you, I'm not the public listen to the whole thing. We'll probably cut again in a second. But if you open up if you get The End by The Doors.
Oh, The Doors. I did not see that coming. Okay, right. I'll listen to it now.
The End by The Doors. If you look at the video of it, it will probably come up with the start of Apocalypse Now. But that would make perfect sense. But if you watch, just have a listen to that now. What is your first reaction to that guitar?
I have heard this before.
Yeah, you would have done. I assume you've seen Apocalypse Now.
I don't know if I have.
If not, remedy it because you'll love it.
Right.
Okay, you'll definitely love it. It's a 1976 film by Francis Ford Coppola. Please shoot me in the face if I get that wrong. It was so far over budget and they were using helicopters from the Korean War that actually had to get flown out of the set because they were in war at the time.
Oh my God.
It cost more money than anything, but created one of the most wonderful films ever made. It's not fun as Disney knew it, but it is absolutely. When you watched that, did it have a scene where there was loads and loads of trees, then a jet went over and loads of napalm went up, or
no,
not?
I didn't. I didn't watch. I didn't watch the thing with Apocalypse Now. I literally just watched the.
Jim Morrison.
Yeah, it was just Jim Morrison doing all his Jim Morrison thing.
Yeah. Oh, look, the thing for me is one of my favourite guitar players of all time is Robbie Krieger from The Doors.
Okay.
Now,
I didn't know
he was a classically trained flamenco guitarist when he joined The Doors. He wrote "Light My Fire," which I was going to put as my song because the intro is so great. But the intro to The End, has got some of the most beautiful guitar playing, in my opinion, of all time. It's all based around a D minor. It's drop D on the top and drop D on the bottom as well.
Okay.
And it's all finger picked. Knopfler's a huge fan, by the way.
I didn't know that. Interesting. Okay, cool.
And I love it. I mean, and for me, it's all about. Obviously, it was about nihilism and sex, drugs, and rock and roll, as everything was for me when I was 17, 18, was the most important thing in the whole world. And Jim Morrison. I remember listening to my mum bought me the best of the Doors, and I listened to it. I thought, God, if this is the best of the Doors, I hate to hear the worst of the Doors. But then all of a sudden, I got it. The penny dropped. And I think I was sitting with a girl on the beach. I was probably about 16, and I was on it, and it ding 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 ding, and it just took me somewhere else completely. And then I just suddenly became a lifelong Doors fan.
It's very thought provoking.
Yes.
It's not what I would imagined it would have been. I've heard it before a very long time ago, and I haven't heard it in a very long time, obviously. But it starts off being quite pretty, like really pretty.
Yeah.
And then it goes a bit mysterious and strange, and then it goes but it's very, very thought provoking. You'll sort of go, "What the hell is this guy thinking?" And the touch he's got on it is beautiful.
He's absolutely amazing. The thing to do is when we're done is watch the intro to the start of it. If you just put in Apocalypse Now, The Doors, whatever, it will come up. The first scene of Apocalypse Now will come up.
I will do it.
What you'll see is you'll see guy from Wall Street. What's his name?
Buffett.
Charlie Sheen. I'll get the Sheens wrong. It's one of the Sheens. He's lying in bed.
Oh no, it was Charlie Sheen. Yeah.
He's got a. I don't think it was Charlie. I think it was the other one. But anyway, we'll get it right. He's got.
Oh no, sorry, no, it wasn't Charlie. It would have been his dad.
It was his dad. Yeah.
Martin Sheen. Martin Sheen.
And they've got that comedy bit in Hot Shots. They go past each other. He goes, "I love you" in Wall Street. That was from there.
Yeah, right.
And you've got the helicopters you can hear, and you can see the fan above his bed, and that comes on, and it's the first line is Saigon. I'm still only in Saigon, and it's all the whole thing just fits, and it's just. If we're talking about intros like Money for Nothing, when you've got one that's more than just the song,
yeah,
for me that was that.
Yeah,
I think like plays about this.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, like, this is the thing, because it was like with the Danger Zone. It was attached to a film.
Yeah, it's attached to it. It's attached.
And without music, films are rubbish.
Yeah, well, absolutely. The thing is it's a film, and it's a moment in time. So for you, for Top Gun, obviously it was the 80s. For me, the end, The Doors was. I guess it was the 90s. Although it wasn't a song from the 90s. They made Oliver Stone made a film about the Doors in the 90s that came out that probably
it was Val Kilmer was.
It was in Val Kilmer. Val Kilmer being more like Jim Morrison than Jim Morrison, but
he was. Yeah.
He was also in Top Gun, so there's a link there.
He was. There is. Yeah.
But I think that it was that really intro's brilliant. So yeah, absolute killer. So
yeah, it's a great thing, and I must have to. I don't know if I've watched the film. If I have, it was an enormously long time ago, and it was in black and white. So
it's a classic.
I'll watch it. Yeah,
absolute stone cold classic. So you definitely need to.
I will absolutely do that, and I think it just goes to show. Obviously, we're musicians, and we're a bit biased on these things, but music is just so good. It's just another word for magic. You get stuff. Yeah. You know, that I had some work experience at our old school in October, and the lady was showing the Torval Dean, the famous Bolero, when they won the thing. And I said to they put it on, and then she turned off the music and watched it again. And I said to the boys, I said, "What does that look like now without Bolero in the background?" And they were just like, "Well, it's just people skating about."
People skating around the street,
which is what it is.
Yeah.
And if you don't have the music, it's nothing. I mean, what would, like, when they had when the Christopher Nolan's Batman, when you have Christian Bale, who looked awesome and he was the best Batman ever, cycling along past you on his bike, oh, that looks cool. But when you've got Hans Zimmer's with those horns, you're like, I mean, it blasts you, but it's like, wow, how cool is that? That's the difference music makes. Music is awesome in all forms. Love it.
We're gonna have to do one of these just on soundtracks, but
God, yeah, we'll have to do a top 10 on that one, because it'll just be Hans Zimmer. There'll be so many people. John Williams. I've already got my top one for that one. So anyway, my number one now.
Yeah, your number one.
My number one.
I know what it's going to be.
Yeah, you do know what it's going to be.
I don't need to listen to you. You don't need to put it on. I know.
I'm not going to put it on.
I want to hear why. That's the important thing.
It is.
Tell everyone what it is, because they don't all know what it is.
Some people watching will know what it is. It is Where the Streets in a Name by U2 from the greatest album ever made, and I will have no arguments, The Joshua Tree, 1987.
And it is now I know that this is all about the Edge's guitar. It's all about that.
It's mostly about that. It was also about the time.
Educate me.
It was also about the time of my life, and it was just a circle of friends I had. It was just I used to go to a chap's house, and he always had U2 on, and it was that. But I heard an interview many years ago with Sting, and he said it was some song he'd listened to, and he said it drove me up the wall, and I thought I like that. Where the Streets in Our Name drives me up the wall. It's so good. It makes me. I've gone to see U2 on several occasions with friend and my brother, and it makes me weep because it is so good. It's got harmonies in it, which later went on to be used by trance music.
Yeah.
But there's something about the harmonies in it that I can't help it. It just makes me go, I can't sit still when it's on. Yeah. And live, it is absolutely. The last time I went to see, which was with my brother in God knows when it was, 2015, I think it was.
Yeah.
And I got as close as I've ever got to the edge. I was 20 feet away from him, and he was right in front of me playing Weather Street to No Name, and it was
What did you play it on?
a Stratocaster.
He plays on the Black Strat, yeah?
Yeah. In fact, when I watched him, he was playing it on this one, his signature Edge Stratocaster, which we'll have to do something on because it's flaming wonderful, this thing.
Yeah.
But before that, it was his famous Blackie guitar, which was, I believe, a 73 Stratocaster, which was all black. Apart from he had black. I think the pickup selector was still white, and I think that the tip of the tremolo arm was still white, but everything else was blacked out.
Yeah. And
he played it on that, and it's got apocryphal stories around it, like Brian Eno when they were recording it in the studio, it nearly wiped it out because it drove out. So the main intro, which you won't be able to pick it, and I should have picked it, but that which is all delayed is in 6/8 time.
Yeah.
Then when it goes to when it breaks into that bit, that's in 4/4 time.
Yeah.
And they couldn't meld the two. And it drove them insane trying to get the two together. And eventually Edge did this sort of bridge thing, which joined them up, and it works. And he's done it live ever since. But it's just the feeling of it, and you've got to go and watch it live to see the power of it. The audience are literally floating off the floor at the end of it. It's euphoric, the noise it makes live. I literally don't have words to describe how good it is. It's so good.
Well, we also need to do a live one. We need to do a live one of these greatest live moments.
Oh God, you two have got to.
It's all seen on video, but I think that's definitely going to be a top.
If the trouble is that if we go for top live moments on film ever, that I'll have, and we'll do a top 10. That it'll all be U2 tunes, and that'll be as simple as that.
Surely Nelson Mandela concert can get itself in there somewhere.
Oh, the Nelson Mandela concert, yes, probably. Yeah, definitely. But there'll be a lot of U2 on that list, so I'll probably not bore two people. I probably might not do that one because people will be like, oh, God, not them again.
Well, look, there's going to be people over there equally as obsessed with U2 as you are. So people will definitely.
Yes, our fan that watches our videos. Hopefully he likes U2.
I'm going to hit my final one, as I say. This is one that could go on forever, but I need to pick up my daughter from school at some point soon.
At some point, yeah.
At some point. But I would say, for me, this is a real curveball because this isn't actually an intro.
Ooh.
It is a weird part in the middle of a song that is nothing really like the rest of the song, but it's so iconic.
Yeah.
And it was part of all of our childhoods. And that's The Chain by Fleetwood Mac.
I knew you were going to say that. And I genuinely didn't know you were going to do this.
Yeah.
But when you said it's the middle of the thing and it's iconic, I thought, well, there's only one of those.
Yeah. Well, the thing is you've got. No, you said Joshua Tree, greatest album of all time. Now, greatest albums of all time, you could go on for days on that one. For me, I've got two.
Okay.
One is London Calling. The other one is Rumours, and I'll probably
Rumours is awesome.
Rumours, because of the dire state of the members of Fleetwood Mac at the time.
Yeah, they were bad.
Watch the Rumours documentary if you haven't already, because it's phenomenal. But that song, the way it starts, I mean, everyone knows what a helmet Lindsey Buckingham is, but what a great guitar player. The fact that when he left Fleetwood Mac, they had to get two people in to replace him.
Yeah.
One of them was the guy from Crowded House, and the other one was the guy from Tom Petty's band, and both of them couldn't pull it off on their own.
Oh wow, I didn't know that. That's really cool.
Guitar player, even if he's much of a dick. But that moment when in that song when it drops, and you're not expecting it, and it was the Formula One tune when we were all kids. It might still be now.
It isn't, but it was on the BBC. Yeah,
but it was absolutely magic. But that moment when the bass comes in, which is John McVeigh's bass comes in, dun, da, da, dun, da, da, then Buckingham's guitar, then and everything's going, and then the voices come back in.
Yeah. It's amazing.
It's something else. Now I've seen, I'll put nod to Mark and Toby's band here, Hardcover. They do a version of this. Now they've got a male singer.
Right.
And they still put it on. And it sounds absolutely fantastic. Now, your brother and I, when we saw them live, were taunting, we're running around to each side of the stage, telling Mark he best not mess up the bass bit, and then running around telling Toby, it's your turn now, you can't mess that. But it's such an iconic and beautiful and stunning song.
I agree.
That I couldn't not have it in there, even though it isn't actually the intro. That is the bit.
I totally agree with you 100%.
Is it a segue? I don't know what it is. Is it?
I don't know what the hell it. What was it? I honestly don't know. I really should know.
It's an outro.
It's an outro. Yeah, it's just probably the greatest outro of all time. Because that noise. I don't know what. Did you know what guitar he played it on?
I do.
Of course you do. Because even I don't know that one.
And he was using a 1973 white Gibson Les Paul Custom, which was one of the ones that would have been made in the North. That would have had a maple neck.
Wow, really?
It would have weighed a metric ton. Now, someone's going to correct me on that because I might have got the year wrong, but I don't think I have.
Right.
This is before he started.
Wow.
Now, I should know this, but he started to use still uses these really strange looking things that are a bit like a violin. I can't remember what they're called. His current guitar he uses currently. But yeah, at that time, that was when he was using a white Les Paul Custom.
Is that the thing? Is that the thing? Is that the bass? Is that the one that Paul McCartney uses? That weird violin-looking thing?
No, it's a modern make of guitar, and I cannot.
Okay.
We'll look it up and we'll add it to the notes.
We'll put it in the description. Yeah.
Yeah, they are very, very, very expensive, very, very, very rare, and really weird looking. But no, it's not the Hofler violin, but it looks a little bit like that. But it's kind of between that and acoustic guitar. I've never played one. I've had the option to buy one before, but never have because I don't like Lindsey Buckingham. I love his guitar playing, but I wouldn't want to be playing.
Yeah, that's fair enough. And even the beginning of that tune with that sort of that, it's amazing. It's brilliant. But where the hell did the chain? I mean, where the hell did the Formula One thing come from?
Where did that come from? I reckon that John McVeigh, in his infinite genius, just suddenly was just sitting there going dong, and someone went, probably Mick Fleetwood, after a huge hoof of cocaine, probably just went something along the lines of, yeah, we can't leave that out. That's got to go in somewhere. And
we'll just bung it in and just shoehorn it in. And it was one of those things which starts. It starts quietly with the thing, and then it just goes bonkers. And it so typified the Formula One cars just leaving the. It was. That was a genius bit of music using
with it.
Yeah, and it will be linked with it forever.
There was a Renault crashing and the tire spun off it, and I remember that with the and just seeing that it was a Sunday afternoon with my dad.
Absolutely enormous.
And it's absolutely that's all good. But yeah,
I've played it live once as a mixtape many years ago, but not a mixtape of the tune, but as someone else. And it's very, very simple to do as well. It's not even difficult to do, but it's just unbelievably impressive.
Some of the greatest songs of all time are the simplest songs to play, but it's just when you've got Stevie Nicks singing for you, you can't really go wrong. There is
that.
Joni Mitchell, the coolest female vocalist of all time? I don't know. It's what one or t'other. And my daughter's middle name is Joni.
Oh, really? Is that after Joni Mitchell?
After Joni Mitchell.
Oh, wow. Okay.
But look, it's.
I couldn't call my daughter The Edge because I don't think she would have liked it.
Speaking of my daughter, I must go and pick her up from school.
That's fine. We've got to go and do family things. Yes, absolutely.
But that was that. I really enjoyed that. And how it comes out.
I know, and we didn't fight at all. We should have done, and we would have got more clicks. But
Yeah, no, we didn't.
I respect your musical knowledge. You see.
When it's art, you've got to respect someone's opinion,
Absolutely.
And the thing is, I also don't disagree. And I've learnt something, because I knew nothing whatsoever about Tears for Fears. So, there we go.
Absolutely. All right, well, we'll leave it there.
What I think we should do is a second one of this and get your brother on as a guest, because I think that would definitely cause some fun.
We will so do that.
Yeah, absolutely.
We'll do that. That'll just be hilarious. Then there'll be arguments.
Exactly. I think
there'll be the clickbait ready to go.
Yeah,
and just to announce, we're not going to announce the name yet. We're going to keep it to ourselves, but we have got a major name from the blues coming up as a guest.
We do indeed. Yeah, we've got
a major name in the blues world, and we're not talking Eric Clapton, not the modern blues. proper old Mississippi Delta blues. We've got one of the biggest, if not the biggest name in that business, who's agreed to come and have a chat with us. So we'll bring you news on that soon on all our socials. Follow us everywhere.
Yeah.
Like and subscribe if you can. And we will see you on the next one.
See you then. Thanks a lot.
Bye-bye. Cheers, guys. Bye.
Bye.